Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Angelo Esposito. The Trump administration is making changes to transgender student rights.
Plus, Point Park holds an event to showcase musically talented students at Stage AE.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
An American journalist based in Iraq was recently released after being kidnapped last month. Shelly Kittleson was taken by the Iranian-backed militia group Kayatib Hezbollah in Baghdad, Iraq. Marco Rubio said in a statement that Kittleson was released Tuesday by a pro-Iran militia. The U.S. government warned her shortly before she was taken that the group had been plotting to abduct her or even kill her. The U.S. worked with Iraqis to secure her release. The security chief of the militia, Abu Mujahid al-Asaf, said in a Telegram post that they will release Kittleson, quote, on the condition that she leave the country immediately. The U.S. Embassy in Iraq warned U.S. citizens to leave the country since the conflict began and not to travel there for any reasons. Reporters Without Borders, the Committee to Protect Journalists, and the Foley Foundation wrote a joint letter to Marco Rubio urging him to secure Kittleson's release. CPJ Regional Director Sarah Kuda said, quote, the abduction of Shelly Kittleson in broad daylight reflects an alarming breach of journalist safety in Iraq that highlights the increased risk of reporting from the Middle East.
The world is becoming indifferent, according to Pope Leo, as he gave out his first Easter message this past Sunday. Pope Leo's message targets the war and hatred of the conflicts taking place in the Middle East, saying, in quote, let those who have weapons lay them down. Let those who have the power to unleash wars choose peace. Not a peace imposed by force, but through dialogue. We cannot continue to be indifferent, and we cannot resign ourselves to evil, end quote. The Pope adds his pleas that the rising of Christ brings no violence, peace should be with humanity, and respect should be a part of relationships with others. Leo, born in Chicago, has avoided commenting on the roles the U.S. is playing involving the current global conflicts, as the Pope positions against the fueling of violence that President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth continue to push. The Vatican were invited to participate in the President's Board of Peace initiative in February that would lead reconstruction in Gaza, but declined the invitation, and there is no plan for the President to visit the Vatican this year. Estimation of more than 60,000 people attended, waited, or watched Pope Leo's address in and around St. Peter's Square for the celebration of Easter. His main call is for a community to help the ones that are suffering and vulnerable. President Trump's administration this week announced that a law that protects transgender students may be terminated. Reporter Ruthie Light is in studio to tell us more. Ruthie?
It's on.
Okay.
On Monday, April 6th, the Trump administration released their plan to terminate lawful agreements that have been used to protect transgender students under prior administrations. The Title IX Civil Rights Statute aims to protect victims in cases of sexual-based discrimination. However, the U.S. Education Department announced it was terminating 6 resolution agreements within Title IX, specifically saying that the federal law barring sex discrimination does not extend to discrimination based on gender identity. The Education Department's statement did not go into detail on the specifics of the terminations. Education Department official Kimberly Ritchie commented on the matter, stating, quote, today the Trump administration is removing the unnecessary and unlawful burdens that prior administrations imposed on schools in its relentless pursuit of a radical transgender agenda, end quote.
Italy's most wanted man and mafia boss was arrested this past weekend after spending nearly a year on the run from authorities. 48-year-old Roberto Mazzarella was wanted for aggravated homicide, which was linked to mafia-related crimes. Mazzarella was also wanted for his relation and control over the Mazzarella clan of the Camorra based in Naples, in which he was the leader. During the arrest, which was a result of the raid in the village of Via Tre Somare, Mazzarella reportedly did not attempt to resist arrest after being caught inside his house. The clan is most known for their counterfeiting and forgery skills, as well as various shootings and murders across the Neapolitan countryside. Mazzarella is currently in custody awaiting trial. Meanwhile, the Italian government is still searching for other members of the organized crime group in connection with other homicides, counterfeit money, and cyber attack crimes.
Bill Gates is scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee on June 10th in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Since the Epstein files were released, Gates has faced scrutiny over his relationship with Epstein, including several dinners together. Despite his encounters with Epstein, Gates is eager to speak before the House. A spokesperson said, quote, "While he never witnessed or participated in any of Epstein's illegal conduct, he looks forward to answering all of the committee's questions," end quote. Conflict between the United States and Iran continues on as talks of ceasefire continue. Reporter Leslie Krebs has more information.
On Monday, President Trump threatened Iran by saying he would, quote, destroy every bridge and power station, end quote, in Iran if they did not come to an agreement with the U.S. in just 4 hours. Trump then added on Tuesday that he would, quote, a whole civilization will die, end quote, if Iran still did not come to a ceasefire within the next day. Legal experts are now calling these threats potential violations of U.S. and international law violations if Trump is to make good on his claims. On Iran's side, they rejected a temporary ceasefire agreement as it did not meet their needs. Iran will only agree to the agreement if it would find a permanent end to the war, as well as including the end of other wars in the surrounding region and the lifting of other sanctions. As of late Tuesday night, Trump took back his words regarding the bombing of Iran's power plants and bridges if they agreed to a new ceasefire agreement, this one lasting only 2 weeks and would need to include the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran ultimately made the tentative decision to agree to it with their own 10-point plan to end the war being added. Trump has reiterated that this plan and ceasefire will only work if the Strait of Hormuz is once again reopened and stays open. Parts of Iran's 10-point plan include the U.S. compensating for damages, the U.S. withdrawing all military forces from bases, as well as Iranian-controlled passageway through the strait. Now the next steps will begin on Friday, where Iran and the U.S. will begin their 2-week negotiation period, which will be located in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, who has acted as the neutral representative for Iran. Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and Vice President J.D. Vance have been appointed to speak in Pakistan on behalf of the U.S. As of last night and early this morning, the ceasefire agreement is being put to the test as Israel is continuing its strikes against Hezbollah. Trump reportedly called Netanyahu today, asking him to reduce his strikes in Lebanon in an attempt to maintain the already shaky ceasefire agreement. More talks between Israel, Lebanon, and the U.S. are set to take place in order to smooth over tensions between Iran and Israel. Iran still maintains that Israel's continuous strikes violate the ceasefire agreement, which the U.S. still maintains it does not. President Trump is still expecting Iran to fully comply with the ceasefire, or else he maintains that a large-scale attack will be placed on Iran.
A Delta Airlines flight was delayed due to an unexpected guest lying on the runway. On March 20th, around 6 p.m. at the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, a 6-foot alligator walked onto the runway and laid down. The report was heard through air traffic control by a calm and confused pilot that watched this gator take a break on the runway. Airport crews responded and safely removed and relocated the alligator outside of airport grounds. There were no injuries reported and flights resumed shortly after. How the gator got onto the runway, however, remains a mystery.
A 68-year-old man has been arrested decades later at a nursing home in the state of Washington for the death of his wife. In November 1992, Janice Randall was found dead in her bed with her daughter Katie in her crib close by. Her husband, James Randall, told police that Janice likely overdosed, saying she had a history of using painkillers. According to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office, the couple was going through a divorce and were living separately at the time. Police went off the lead of a possible overdose, but autopsy results show no drugs in Janice's system. The case turned into a homicide investigation, but the Sheriff's Office had very little evidence and technologies to work with at the time. The case became cold until in recent years, family members reported new information, including confessions by James to his siblings. James admitted to his brother how he staged the crime scene, including that he had to put a pillow over his wife's head. Investigators now believe Janice, quote, died as a result of a violent struggle, end quote, because of the noticeable bruisings in the autopsy results. Janice Randall's oldest daughter, Katie Watkin, talked about the result of James's arrest, saying, quote, I don't want to say I gave up hope, but I never thought I would see this in my lifetime. I accepted it. I was at peace until about a year ago, end quote. James Randall pleaded not guilty to a charge of first-degree murder and is being held on a bail of $1 million. After the break, hear how Pittsburgh police officers were honored 17 years after their deaths. Plus, the NFL draft is only 2 weeks away, and construction continues until the first pick. All this and more when we come back.
Local university's custodian was arrested for stealing from students' dorm rooms. 29-year-old Blaney Rode was a temporary custodian for Carnegie Mellon University, hired by a third-party service contracted through the university. Rode is charged with going into students' dorms rooms and stealing wallets, cash, and a watch. From March 24th through the 31st, Rode continued doing this. Investigators found footage of Rode using stolen cards at dispensaries, Burger King, and a Dollar Tree. One of the wallets had an Apple AirTag that was traced back to his home, as well as card access records that led back to him. The university posted a be on the lookout alert for Rode, and he was taken into custody where he admitted to authorities he was, quote, struggling financially. He is charged with burglary, theft by unlawful taking, and access device fraud. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for April 20th at 10 a.m.
April 4th marked 17 years since 3 Pittsburgh police officers were killed in the line of duty while responding to a domestic dispute in Stanton Heights. Officers Eric Kelly, Paul Shulo, and Stephen Mayle were ambushed as soon as they arrived to a house by 22-year-old Richard Poplowski. Poplowski's mother called 911, but Poplowski knew when Pittsburgh police were arriving to the house, and he opened fire. Officers Shulo and Mayle were shot approaching the door, and Officer Kelly was shot pulling up to the scene, but was able to radio for backup. 3 other officers were injured while responding. Richard Poplowski was convicted on 3 counts of first-degree murder in 2011 and was sentenced to death. Pittsburgh Police Chief Jason Lando had a message sent over all police channels on Saturday, and the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police made a social media post honoring the 3 officers killed, calling it, quote, the worst attack on law enforcement in Pittsburgh history, end quote. A memorial for the 3 fallen police officers sits at Zone 5 Police Station. The Pittsburgh International Airport is getting ready for travelers to come from all over the country and globe for the NFL Draft. NewsNight reporter Alyssa Mandarak is there to tell us how they are getting ready.
With at least 700,000 people expected to arrive into the city of Pittsburgh for the NFL draft, the Pittsburgh International Airport will be a main hub of transportation for guests not local to the region. So that's why I'm here asking people today to see how they feel and how they're going to prepare for the draft.
Pittsburgh International Airport is only months into its new facilities that took years of planning and construction and cost over $1.5 billion. It officially opened in November of last year, which has given workers, travelers, and Pittsburgh residents an opportunity to adjust to the major changes that have been made. Brianna Salmon landed in Pittsburgh for the first time for a Humane Society conference and is loving what Pittsburgh air travel has to offer.
This is my first time, and I am so impressed because I have flown into many airports, national and international, and I am very impressed. Somebody did a good job.
While commuters are enjoying the enhanced spaces, the current partial government shutdown is impacting security checkpoints and TSA. PIT is just one of the many airports that have deployed immigration and customs enforcement officers to assist with low staffing. This is creating anxiety among not only U.S. residents, but people flying internationally as well.
As far as flying, it's been really smooth. One of my daughters says, "Mom, be careful. Please be careful." You know, she goes, "What if ice sees you?" And I said, "Well, if I see ice or ice sees me," I said, "Hi, ice," and then and that's it.
Despite these fears, it seems that people are excited for what the draft has to offer to Pittsburgh.
I'm sure it's great for the city. It's definitely going to be a challenge, I think. Even when we're in town for baseball games and things, it can get pretty crazy with just the people, that are just coming to one game,
With tens of millions of dollars invested into Pittsburgh hosting the draft, city officials hope for a generation of over $120 million into the region's economy.
That would be great for the city and great for the airport to see how it accommodates all this traffic. If you have small businesses, small restaurants, small this or whatever hotels that may have some type of benefit like breakfast included, the basic, I think that would be great for the city.
As we've seen in court today, spirits are high ahead of draft day. I'm Melissa Mandarak reporting at the Pittsburgh International Airport.
Mayor Corey O'Connor, Pirates Chairman Bob Nutting, and the Pennsylvania Laborers District Council are partnering to improve ball fields across the district. This is an expansion of an existing Pittsburgh Pirates charity called Fields for Kids, which provides resources for local kids' baseball and softball organizations. This new expansion plans to provide maintenance equipment and better scoreboards for many fields, focusing on improving everyday use. A partnership between the city of Pittsburgh and a nonprofit may bring solar farms to the area. Reporter Sam Myrick is in the studio to tell us more. Sam?
The Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh is planning to work with nonprofit organization Capital Good Fund to build a solar farm. The two companies plan to enter a 25-year lease to develop the solar farm on land the Urban Redevelopment Authority already owns, which is 15 acres in Swiss Helm Park. This land may also be used for an extension to Frick Park. The Urban Development Authority was awarded a grant in 2024 to clean up the site, and the cleaning is reported to be about 95% complete. A press release from the city of Pittsburgh about this plan says, quote, "Plants on this site could generate enough renewable energy to offset 100% of the electricity demand at 4 local schools. Over the 25-year lease, the district could save over $2.6 million in electricity expenses," end quote.
Talented Point Park students were able to showcase their musical talent at Stage AE this week. NewsNight reporter Carson Berg was there to tell us more.
3 young artists are set to perform here tonight at Stage AE in the North Shore. This show will cap the artist's performance being this year's Pioneer Stars. Ava Presley, Bryn Elena, and Jordan Versaw auditioned and were then selected as Pioneer Stars this past fall. Pioneer Records recently sponsored a showcase for them to perform their original songs.
We created a student-run record label, completely run by students, and I figured out how to make it work. So every fall we put the word out that we're looking for the next 3 Pioneer Stars.
Presley never planned to share her music publicly. Since being a star, she's recorded and released a single with Red Cayman Studios.
They're just really great at giving you everything that you could possibly need to start out as a musician. Being around a supportive group of people who believed in me and believed in what I was doing was just more helpful than I could ever express.
Traversari wants the program to give students a professional experience and opportunities to network.
I never take for granted that any of these kids have ever recorded, been near a stage, backstage, and we give them all those availabilities here.
Students can volunteer at Pioneer Records to get experience working in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, they were great to work with, and it was cool to kind of have the dual-sided, like working with students, putting this together, but also getting to go off campus and work with professionals.
Over 200 tickets were handed out in the weeks before the showcase. The event was free for Point Park students to attend.
I love the environment, I love Stage AE, and I think this is the perfect place to present this talent.
The stars can continue working with Red Cayman Studios even after the concert.
In terms of trusting myself and trusting my ability with the guitar and with my voice, I feel like I've come a long way since then.
Some new faces will be back in the fall as Pioneer stars. I'm Carson Berg with UView Television.
The first round of the NFL draft is near. First-time NewsNight reporter Becca Trulich is in studio to give us an update on construction progress. Becca?
With the NFL draft just 2 weeks away, the North Shore is preparing with construction of the draft theater. The NFL last week started building the massive area where teams select players live in the parking lot surrounding Acrisure Stadium. The stadium will be open to fans and activities will be held on the field during the event. This year's theater will include more than 1,300 LED video panels and thousands of lighting fixtures. The league expects to complete the 50,000 square foot structure several days before the draft begins. Across the River Point State Park will host the Draft Experience, an NFL-sponsored free festival. Together, they will make up the NFL draft footprint, which will be separated by a body of water for the first time in draft history. The Roberto Clemente Bridge will be closed to car traffic for a walkway, and the Gateway Clipper fleet will be transporting people across the river. With 11 league markets just in driving distance, this is expected to be the largest event in Pittsburgh's history. Visit Pittsburgh expects that the city will welcome 500,000 to 700,000 visitors.
Stick around till after the break. We'll be sure to bring you the forecast for what your weekend and next week looks like. Don't go anywhere.
The viral bald eagles in Southern California had a perfect weekend for their eaglets to hatch out of their shells. This Easter weekend, Jackie and Shadow got to welcome 2 new members to the family. The first egg hatched Saturday evening around 9:30 p.m. and the other hatched around 8:30 a.m. Easter morning. Both newborns have successfully been fed and are settling in with their parents. You can watch Jackie and Shadow care for their eaglets on the Big Bear live stream at friendsofbigbearvalley.org/livestream. Congratulations, Jackie and Shadow. Are warm temperatures continuing? Weather reporter Robert Fornatero is at Point State Park to tell us what the forecast is.
With the North Shore stage construction almost being complete, Point State Park's fountain finally being on, and the sun being bright and out today with no clouds blocking it, we are finally looking at what is expected to be a perfect spring coming up. As we look at the weather, we have a high of 79 degrees today with a low of 44, and it is Pennsylvania, so we do have a chance of some passing showers in the afternoon. Now we're going to take a look at the rest of the week. Warmer temperatures will continue this upcoming week, as Saturday will be the coldest day this week with a high of 63 degrees. Warmer spring-like temperatures will be back on Sunday though, when it will reach a high of 82. Temperatures will consistently be in the low 80s, and there will be multiple chances of rain showers and thunderstorms as we look throughout the week. The thunderstorms are expected to be in the afternoon. So make sure you bring an umbrella with you when you are heading out the door, and enjoy the sun when you can. So as the sun shines bright, make sure you too step outside and enjoy this weather, because if you're from Pennsylvania, you know it may not last until next week. Now that's everything from me. I'm going to send it back to the desk. Reporting from Point State Park, I'm Robert Fornatero.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Juliana Brock.
And I'm Angelo Esposito. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.